So while there seems to be a lot of great benefits to intersecting third place theory and also online students, there also can be a couple of drawbacks that should be addressed and actively known by instructors and also students that participate. First, it's going to be for some students, it's a big transition to go from going from traditional academic settings with third places to virtual. Some students in that switch, because they're so used to it, will tend to sometimes lose interest in the class and sometimes find it hard to connect to other people when it's not face to face, even with virtual options like Zoom, um, WebEx, and other applications that you can see people face to face via a camera. Some students really like the traditional method of it, so that's something that I think that is important um, to address. Also with asynchronous students, a thing that tends to happen, some students may not know how to properly manage less of a traditional classroom. So with a traditional classroom, you have your dedicated meeting time. So for example, Monday from 1:30 to 2:45, something like that. So students know that that's structured, that they'll be meeting that class, and that there may or may not be out of class assignments, whereas asynchronous, sometimes you have week to week to complete assignments, and sometimes you even have the whole semester. So students tend to get lost with that. And even with the infusion of third space technologies that we'll talk about later, students still sometimes find it hard to find time to commit to these sessions. So for example, let's say that a group decides to do a virtual happy hour or some other engagement opportunity. Sometimes it's just because you don't have that set class time, it's sometimes hard to find a time that works for everyone. So I think that's another drawback that um, should be addressed. Also, one more that I think is a drawback that has started to be addressed, especially during the pandemic, but still is still not the case for a lot of students in rural areas, is the lack of technological advances. For example, I think in particular, one that needs to be addressed is Wi-Fi access. So for example, my undergrad was in Robeson County, North Carolina, one of the poorest counties in the state, but also one of the biggest counties by area. So there was a lot of people there that were just spread out a little everywhere. So some people were in more of a, I would say, town setting, but a couple thousand people that did have great and reliable internet, where some people were in towns as big as 50 people, that it was hard to get internet access. So I think that's something that really needs to be addressed if we are going to promote these third spaces, is that if students can't connect to them, they're not going to like try, or they may not feel like, hey, I can drive to the library and connect with this group and socialize, just because it is a big hassle. So I think that's another drawback. When creating courses, and think about how can you engage students in a social space virtually, those are some things to think about.